Reacher is back this week with episode 7 of season 3, the penultimate one. I feel like we all saw that ending coming, right? With Beck letting 2 undercover agents into his home and almost compromising Quinn. It felt inevitable that he wasn't actually going to tell Beck the true location of where the deal was taking place. And now, well, it looks like a bloodbath is on the horizon in an attempt to stop Quinn from finding out that Beck betrayed him. This episode allowed us to learn more about Quinn's past, the buyers of the weapons, and their intentions. The stakes have never been higher. So, let's dive into the episode, break it down, and discuss all things Reacher Season 3, Episode 7. Just a heads up, this breakdown contains spoilers. Ending explained. At the end of this episode, Reacher, Duffy, and Philly got the ATF involved because they knew the meetup with Quinn's buyers had the potential to go south. If it was just the 4 of them trying to intercept it, they would have been severely outnumbered, given the number of weapons in play. So, they brought in the ATF not just because it was the agency Annette worked for before she was killed, but also because they're the bureau that handles firearm-related crimes. Reacher, however, didn't want to go ahead and meet with them. He knew that if that happened, he wouldn't get the chance to finally take Quinn down and get the revenge he'd been after for a decade, ever since Quinn killed Reacher's prot.g. Cole. We also learned that the deal was taking place between Quinn and buyers from Yemen. This led Reacher and Duffy to suspect that the weapons were intended for an attack on home soil. Beck and Quinn's strong transportation network meant they could have easily smuggled the weapons in, making an attack in the United States a real possibility. This further cemented Quinn's betrayal of his own country. Beck finally saw the light in this episode, realizing that siding with Reacher might be his only way out of Quinn's grasp and his impending death. Mr. Kotopoulos revealed that, about 5 years ago, Quinn was operating in Chicago. He took over a family business, similar to Bizarre Bazaar, and threatened the family with death if they didn't comply. But one day, the family fought back and told Quinn they wanted him out. In response, they all turned up dead. After that, Quinn abandoned his Chicago operation, changed his name to Julius McCabe, and took over Beck's business, seeing it as an easy target. Quinn no longer trusted Beck after realizing Reacher and Det weren't legitimate. He suspected Beck might be working with the feds. That's why Quinn told Beck the meetup was at the salvage yard at 9 p.m. when in reality, it was happening at Beck's 50th birthday party at his home. Quinn likely did this to test Beck and see if he would betray him by informing the authorities. Now that the authorities were waiting at the salvage yard, Quinn will probably realize Beck has been working against him. This could have serious consequences, with Beck's son, Richard, potentially paying the ultimate price. We also saw Miss Daniel in this episode, Teresa's grandmother. She deeply appreciated Duffy's efforts to find her granddaughter, unaware that Duffy was actually the reason Teresa went missing in the first place. Duffy had blackmailed her. Bringing Teresa's grandmother some chowder for breakfast was a sign of Duffy's guilt, showing that she wanted to ease her burden, even though she was the one who caused her pain. Miss Daniel said, "My granddaughter's no rat," when recalling how Teresa took the blame for her friends in school. This was likely symbolic of Teresa not giving Quinn any information once her position was compromised. We finally saw Teresa for the first time in this episode, and it was heartbreaking to watch her being fed the substance that she clearly didn't want it, knowing how hard she fought to get clean. Being forced to take it in order to remain in a state where she could be controlled by Quinn was just heartbreaking. Quinn said to her, "You're lucky you have red hair." We know that she's involved as part of the deal to soften relations, so the fact that she has red hair is something they're clearly interested in. Teresa didn't utter a word because she simply couldn't. And with Reacher now placing Teresa on the same level of importance as killing Quinn, hopefully, we'll see her make it out alive. Beck and Richard. During this episode, we actually got a bit of one-on-one time between Beck and Richard. With both of them missing an ear now, it's safe to say that their bond is even closer than it once was. Beck found the toy gun that his son was fixing up for his birthday, which led him to appreciate the gift and reminisce about when Richard was younger. We've been made aware of how much Richard means to Beck, due to the way he has tried to protect him. However, in this episode, we found out that Beck had been pushing Richard away and out of his life because he didn't want him to get caught up in everything that was happening. He feared that Richard could end up being used as a bargaining chip and face the repercussions if things went wrong. We've already seen how Quinn used Richard to get involved in the family business through the kidnapping. Quinn knows that Richard is Beck's weakness, with Beck telling Richard to go to his room at 9 p.m. and lock the door to stay out of harm's way. I don't think that's going to do much. Let's be real, Polly could probably kick that door in with ease. So, I do think Richard is going to face some kind of threat from both Quinn and Polly. Reacher Season 2 Episode 7 Review. I thought this was a good episode. It built toward the finale and left us on a cliffhanger that really made me want more. There's a lot at stake, and it feels like the finale could genuinely be a bloodbath, one in the yard and another at the party. Nobody is safe in this finale, and I like that aspect of it because we don't know who could end up dying. I thought Neagley having a larger role in this episode was a pleasant surprise, and it made me realize it's a shame she didn't feature more throughout this season. Normally, she has a stronger involvement, but this time, that wasn't the case. Every Reacher finale always has an epic showdown, and I feel like the party is going to be where the real action happens. Reacher finally coming face to face with Quinn after all these years and revealing the truth to him is going to be epic to watch. However, I imagine before Reacher can get to Quinn, he'll have to go through Polly first, which will be even more exciting. With Reacher fueled by anger, rage, and revenge, I imagine we'll see a side of him similar to what we saw in Season 1 when he was avenging his brother's death. That same level of emotion will most likely be present. Even though every season of Reacher includes a love interest at the core of the story, I'm still not feeling the chemistry between Reacher and Duffy. It's definitely the most forced romance we've seen in the series so far. Roscoe still remains my favorite. Within this episode, Quinn came across as the most evil we've seen him. The way he described chopping Teresa into pieces and throwing her over like trash was just sinister. The look he gave Richard as he called his father away, insinuating that he'd be coming back for him, showed just how heartless he was and how little regard he has for human life. Let's be real, he betrayed his country and killed Cole like she was nothing. So when his moment finally comes, it's going to be incredibly satisfying to watch. With only one episode to go, this season has absolutely flown by. My only issue is with the release schedule. Dropping 3 episodes in the first week means we get half the season in one go, which disrupts the rhythm. I either think they should release it all at once or stick to 1 episode per week. But hey, it's been a very good season so far. I just hope they can stick the landing. Outro. So there you have it, Reacher Season 2 Episode 7, Ending Explained. If you want to see more breakdowns of Reacher Season 2, click on the card in the top corner for the playlist. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What did you think of this episode? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for tuning in to this week's breakdown of Reacher, and I'll see you in the next one.